Okay, much better now. Hopefully, my audio levels are better today than they have been. Okay. Yeah. So sorry about the last video. I know my audio was a little off with the whole Ethan video. I'm in the hotel still. I'm still on vacation, but you know I'm missing work, which is incredible because when I used to work a real job, I never missed work, but now I'm kind of missing it. So for a little bit of context, I covered this. I didn't cover this, but the last thing where we talked about Hasan versus Abin preachers, which is what we're going to talk about today. I put on my Papa Got Leftovers channel because, frankly, like I'm tired of talking about Hasan. I think that we should all know at this point that he is incredibly bad faith. He's not particularly intelligent when it comes to trying to break down anything. He can't even defend his position. He gets called out by pretty much everybody, whether it's more moderates to conservatives. Well, yeah, for just not really presenting any arguments, or progressives for doing a horrible job of presenting arguments. Right? There's really nobody he's safe from. But he's for some reason obsessed with more moderate progressive individuals like myself, Abin Preach, probably Destiny as well, and trying to label them people who are more commonsensical, which I think represent most people in the world. I think we like to think that like most people are far left or right. I think most people aren't. It's just that most people don't have the time to do this. Sit down and go through insane, logical bullshit in order to force bullshit narratives. Most of us live in the real world. We're working and we're like, yeah, this is stupid, but don't engage with stupid things. But Hasan does. And a lot of, I mean, you notice online, a lot of progressives and conservatives will engage with just dumb shit constantly. That being said, obviously my less than adequate desire to cover Hasan is outweighed by, obviously I want to keep up on things that are relevant to what I generally talk about, but also like who doesn't like shitting on Hasan for being dumb? It's low hanging fruit, but you know what, sometimes we don't have to be intelligent. Sometimes we could stoop to Hasan's level. So before we get into this video, I do want to read a quick tweet that I came across. For some reason, I get a lot of Hasan tweets. I don't know why. I'm surprised he hasn't blocked me. Anyway, Hasan says on April 13th, he says, I called this as soon as Biden was elected, but Gamergate-style politics is back. Luckily, there are awesome YouTube essayists out there, and not everyone is doing the whole I'm a centrist, but lose my mind at the thought of 5 trans women competing in sports shit. Okay, this is the reason I want to talk about this is because I truly believe that this is like targeted at Abin Preach more than anybody else right now, considering their engagement. But what I wanted to point out that this is another example of Hasan memeing the argument, right? I talk about this a lot, how Hasan memes arguments. He doesn't really come up with anything particularly like critical or engaging or intelligent. He will meme an argument. He'll say like, well, like when people are like, hey, it's kind of shitty that you took that exclusivity deal with Twitch, which is a subsidiary of Amazon, which you heavily criticize. And he's like, oh, so I can't eat? That's memeing an argument. He doesn't actually come up with like a presentation of like an actual argument a lot of the times. He just like likes to fall back on these very unintelligent like memes. That's pretty much what he does. And we call it out a lot. But anyway, let's actually get into the Abin Preach video. Apparently Hasan, like he always does, talked about Abin Preach on stream for probably a long time. That's what he does to me every so often. He'll just talk about me on stream. But he doesn't he doesn't really make a video out of it, of course. Which in my instance makes sense because I'm a nobody, but Abin Preach are pretty big, so it's actually it comes off more as a cowardice from his perspective. Although I haven't checked his channel, so maybe he did bring it up on them. Let's see. We'll look at this really quick. I kind of doubt it though. I very highly doubt it. Yeah, no, it's not on there. I figured we just do our due diligence, whatever.
Our old good.
Anyway, they have done us the favor of putting everything together for us. So let's get this watching. Hopefully the audio is not too bad.
Buddy Shank's nephew made a reply video to us.
Okay, Chank's nephew right off the bat. We're starting off in a really good spot. For those of you who don't know, Chank's nephew, he's the nephew of Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks. Hasan gets really upset when you call him Chank's nephew and you tell him that he doesn't deserve his job. That's why people talk about it. He pretends that it doesn't bother him, but it bothers him quite a bit.
So I made a little summary for you guys who don't want to watch a 5-hour stream. So here it is.
A while ago, these guys that I don't know anything about, okay, and still don't know anything about.
All right there. It's very important that he still doesn't know anything about Abin Preach. It would have taken you almost no time at all to research what they have to say. They make pretty smallish videos, so you get, watch a few 10-minute videos. You're on stream constantly watching videos. It wouldn't have been difficult to watch what they had to say and like give an actual intelligent response. But Hasan's whole thing is like, well, I don't know about them, so but it's not hard to. It's not like you have to read an entire book. You just have to watch a few videos about specifically the engagement that they're having as a conversation about trans women in sports. And the reality is that like there a lot of people, myself included, I think most people, I like to think, are trans. Like they think that trans women are women, and they're fine with trans women existing, and trans women are women. But they understand that there is a biological difference that makes it so that trans women, specifically ones who go through a male puberty, have an unfair advantage and shouldn't compete in sports, because not only are they going to have most likely have a disproportionately high amount of representation in sports, but they're also going to be rising to the top. So allowing trans women to compete, making it so that it's socially acceptable. Is just going to cause cis women to be removed from sports. And so that's the reality. I don't think that's a hot take. I think that's fine. I think it's understandable. You could have just watched their perspective on it. So
made a video, I think, about...
Oh, it looks like they shouted out Willie Mack, so good for him. I wonder what this is. I think I watched this already. Oops.
Hello, libtard.
I did watch that. I did watch it. I think I'm already... Okay. Yeah, I did watch that video. Okay, sorry.
So here it is.
A while ago, these guys that I don't know anything about, okay?
I actually subbed to his Patreon.
And still don't know anything about. Made a video, I think, about... Title is true. Hasan and I be called as transphobes. Hear why. And then the answer is, because we're transphobes. Transphobic.
So did he actually watch the video? Because I feel like he didn't.
Transphobic.
Oh, maybe he did.
Transphobic.
That's right.
No, there's another like 35 transphobes in there, but I'm gonna save them for later. For those of you watching a little bit confused, you guys don't know who Hasan is. Hasan Piker is the nephew of Shank Uger, who owns TYT.
I love it. I love the nepotism slam here. I mean, listen, some people are, I got my job as a bus washer from my uncle. Like he helped me get that job. So like nepotism is a very real thing. But it's funny because Hasan doesn't. This is my whole thing. Is I got really big in the political sense or the political spirit during like Donald Trump being elected, and so did Hasan. And I think a lot of people were able to get into politics then because it was easy. Donald Trump was like very polarizing, but he's also watered down. All the discussions we were having were really basic, really simple, didn't require a whole lot of intelligence, and so it was very easy for people to be like just commonsensical or to just kind of blow up during that time. Politics had like the limelight on them. Once once Donald Trump was no longer elected, once he was, once Biden stole the election, just kidding. Once Biden won, a lot of that, basically everything died down a little bit. And people like myself, I realized that I wasn't as intelligent when it comes to politics as I thought I was. It was just like I was, into this field. It was very easy because of Trump. And so I took a step back and I focused more on social issues and having fun with my platform. And we talk about we do a lot of drama bullshit. We do talk about it through like a more of a social political lens, but and that's what we do. But I don't think Hasan recognized that he wasn't smart enough to be talking about this stuff anymore. And so that's why Hasan is falling so hard. Because he doesn't realize that he's not smart. And
The Young Turks Network. And Hasan himself, he's a political streamer who's always on Twitch. He also happens to be a millionaire socialist. Yes.
Oh my God. Hasan's reaction is just to be like, oh, okay, so I guess you can't be. Listen, I understand people are like, well, the fundamental core argument here is going to be like, well, okay, he is a socialist, but like you have to live within the system. What can Hasan do? There's a lot of things you really can do. You need to be the change that you want to see, right? And so if Hasan's whole thing is like, okay, I think that we should have worker co-ops and things on why not open one? If you're making $3 million a year, why not open a small business that pays people a percentage of the profits? Why not advocate in like some way? You'd be like, well, he doesn't have to. No, nobody has to. No activist or advocate has to do anything, but that's what he makes his money on. And the thing is that I don't think that Hasan means anything that he says. I think it's just it's a wardrobe to him. It's just a piece. It's something that he wears. He advocates for like socialist ideology because it makes him money. I don't think he actually gives a shit about helping people whatsoever in any true capacity. I truly think that Hasan's the kind of person that if like he doesn't have like a pretty strong moral code in the way that he operates, I think it's more what makes him money. I mean, he is the progressive Steven Crowder. I don't think that there's any depth to what he thinks, says, or believes. And if he was making a lot of money being a conservative, I truly think that he would just do that thing. That's just what I truly believe.
That don't make sense.
The millionaire socialist?
Because I remember like there was a time where I was getting more conservative and I was getting like a lot of views on TikTok, and I stopped because I didn't like the way I was going, right? And I was like, this isn't how I want to get big. And I've always had this idea that like if I have to get a real job again, I will get a real job again. That's not Hasan. I don't think that's Hasan's ideology. I think that it's anything that he can do to make more money. Because on Twitch, if you think that Amazon is so horrible, why would you take an exclusivity contract with them? You could have streamed on multiple platforms at the same time, and you could have pulled people to other platforms and where their money wouldn't have gone to a company that you've called out very heavily. You could have used your platform as a large Twitch streamer instead of taking an exclusivity contract to stream on YouTube and like other platforms, and to as like a stance, like an activist stance of like, I'm going to pull people from your platform onto my platform, because you can stream on multiple platforms at the same time, but then you can't get Bezos bucks, or you can't get Amazon Prime, you can't get money through Twitch then. But he didn't take that, and instead he took the route of deciding that he wanted to take an exclusivity contract. And then what happened there? Well, now that he's doing that, he's not interesting enough to cover an 8-hour period. And I don't know if anybody necessarily is. So what does he do? He steals other people's content. He just watches it. He doesn't react to it. He doesn't do anything that alters it. He barely even shouts the name out of the person. He doesn't keep their name on the screen the entire time. So if you pop in another stream, you can see who it's about. He does very little. He does as much as possible to just not help, right? And so you see how like this chain of events is happening, where he lays into a system that he would consider abusive, not just the capitalist system, but the system of really Amazon. And then he takes the exclusivity contract, and then he starts stealing content from other content creators. And he's already had a history of not paying people that he's, that's something like a significant amount of work for him. And you see how he's actively walking into conditions that would cause him to have to effectively, to lack of a better term, abuse other workers. You see, rather than being some kind of an advocate, because he wants as much money as possible. He makes millions of dollars a year. You don't need that much money. It would be very easy for you to take a stance, and you'd be seen as more credible. But you're not living the experience you want other people to live, right? You're not doing anything that's really positively impactful. In fact, he donated a bunch of money to Ukraine, which was great, but he did that. It feels like a virtue signal. It feels like he doesn't care, because he was very busy spreading incredible Russian misinformation that was incredibly harmful to the Ukraine, or to Ukraine. Right? The idea that Russia had a right to take back portions of Ukraine because there were Russians living there, when we should all know by now that Russia was effectively orchestrating famines to kill Ukrainians so that he could put Russians there, so that in the future he could say, hey, look, we have a lot of Russians here, we can take it back. You see, but he just doesn't have, like, he's not acknowledging these arguments. So like, it's really fucked up how deep this goes.
I mean, that don't make sense. Right. That don't make sense.
Because when he says socialist, it means he's into like the redistribution of chlamydia, not actual money.
Oh, okay.
It's a little bit different.
He puts a moron in Nazi.
They're called him a frat bro. They really are just gonna roast him.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Puts the chlamydia in women. You get me?
Okay.
Keep up.
This is gonna be a roast at this
It's a different kind of social.
Because their last response was actually intelligent, so I'm assuming they're just going to roast the fuck out of Hasan and not give a shit anymore.
But I think it's still socialist. Yeah, just a little bit more to bio. Hasan Piker isn't religious, but he does believe that dressing like a thrift shop manager helps him look like a socialist. That and spreading Russian propaganda. If you're confused,
it is interesting because he just did a stream with Grimes, and I remember like last year Grimes broke up with Elon Musk and then started walking around with the Communist Manifesto, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, like she's just what is she doing? She's using communism as a fashion piece." And it's like, well, now Hasan's like buddy with her, and it's like, okay, so usually, it's I'm assuming Hasan would agree with this. If you have racist friends, there's a good chance you might be racist. If you have friends who use communism as a badge, as a wardrobe piece, then maybe you're also that kind of person.
Confused about how he can claim to be. If you're confused how someone can claim to be a multimillionaire while also being a socialist, it's kind of simple. He's not into the redistribution of money, but he is into the redistribution of AIDS through his dog shit videos. Hasan is good at what he does, let me tell you. Hasan is Turkish. I think we could all tell he's from Turkey because he loves getting...
What are you going to say?
What are they going to say?
What are you doing?
I think we could all tell he's from Turkey because he loves being... I think we could all tell he's from Turkey because he loves being stuffed and roasted by everyone he debates online.
Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, he even got fucked, but he even got stuffed by Christian Walker, which I would have paid for, if you know what I'm saying. So interesting that he couldn't, like, he got so much backlash from like a lot of leftists for him being so bad at debating Christian Walker, and then Hasan like removed the portion of the debate from his video where they talked about trans people because he did such a bad job. Like, it's incredible.
Hasan's the kind of lefty to get depression because he finds out his dick leans right.
I would say I solidified my success when I was able to get AOC on my show to play Among Us.
Imagine being
And it's like another one that I would call AOC like another, kind of like a more of like a performative socialist. I got to be honest with you, Bernie Sanders, I don't agree with everything that he wants to do specifically, but I think that he's like a genuine guy. Right? Like, I believe in the concept of like universal healthcare, just not in the way Sanders wants to do it. Wow, incredible. Since I just got like okay, sorry. Like, I believe in creating a public option and maintaining a private option, like a slow transition. I think that makes the most sense. Whereas like, Bernie's very much like, let's get rid of the private option, but I agree with the fundamentals and the passion. And he's obviously he was an activist for how long? And he's somebody who like really cares and believes. And that's why I like Bernie Sanders. But you see people like AOC and Hasan that to them, it's a fashion piece. I genuinely feel like it's just a fucking fashion piece.
being a political streamer and your proudest moment is playing video games with a vegan-friendly politician. And this guy's not proud of maybe.
Bro, in that same thing, which I still haven't been able to get up because it's under DMCA, like, well, it's contested right now. He even says that he created like Twitch politics, which is crazy because like really Destiny you could hate Destiny all you want. I don't really care. But like, it's incredible. Like, the guy walks around trying to rewrite history. Like, it's disgusting. It's pathetic. It's embarrassing.
Talking politics with her, going through all the strategies or talking the future of voting.
No,
playing
playing Among Us.
fucking Among Us.
So basically, he's a political fuckboy.
Yay.
True.
That's what you're telling me.
Yay.
He's a political fuckboy.
And I want people to have a more positive approach to dealing with issues. Transphobic.
He doesn't want a more positive approach for anything. He's not like, listen, I see the whole thing where him and Tim Pool are going back and forth about how like Tim Pool's trying to get Hasan on, and Hasan hides behind this idea. And like, well, okay, let me present it in like try to be as unbiased as possible. Tim Pool wants to talk to Hasan, right? Hasan says, I won't go to you in person, but I will do it on Zoom, right? And a lot of people are, you get to pick a side. Whether you think like Hasan is like, oh, he'll do it, he just doesn't want to go in person, and Tim Pool should respect that boundary, and so Tim is using it as an excuse. Or where I tend to lean more is that Tim Pool has a particular brand where he's like, I want to talk to people in person because it makes a lot of sense. Especially since, no offense, but I do think Hasan would run away if he was having a bad argument or conversation, because I don't think that he's too particularly good at engaging in conversation. He uses the excuse of COVID. I don't think Hasan truly feels threatened by COVID. He could go in there, potentially wear a mask. I'm sure he's vaccinated. He's also very healthy. I'm sure Tim Pool would create a very clean environment. But he's not open to debate because this is your chance to dunk on Tim Pool. So why not take the chance? That's because I don't think that he can dunk on Tim Pool. I don't watch Tim Pool a lot. He seems like a pretty, moderate conservative kind of guy. Not too bad. I'm sure everybody has their ups and downs, their days. Sorry, the table's dirty. But like, this is Hasan's chance to go in there and just shit on him. So why not try to do that? It doesn't make any sense. So
Transphobic.
With how often this man yells the word transphobic, I just assumed he either had Tourette's or really wanted to fuck Sweet Anita. But it turns out the man's just auditioning for Antifa. All right, this guy is insufferable.
Hasan's relationship with the trans community is interesting. He once lost a trans-related debate, and people in his community were rightfully upset with him because they felt like he made them look bad.
My issue as a trans person is the fact that you, a guy that isn't super well versed on trans shit, brought on a known transphobe.
good for Willie Mack, man. This video seems to be blowing up. Let me see if I can watch it.
Knowing he might bring up transphobic shit. You aren't exactly a Vosh at trans debates.
Fair point. Let's see how humble his response is.
I hope that the rest of your life is as horrible as it is every single day. Okay, there you go.
I wish this video would get more attention from Willie Mack. It's this one right here. It was a pretty good watch, man. So really, all of them. Really, you should watch both of them. But anyway, let's continue.
Suck my dick. And I want people to have a better, more positive approach to dealing with issues. I despise you. I despise you more than anything else on the planet. You are fucking cancer. That's my ultimate goal, and I feel like I achieved that. You are cancer in this community, and you're cancer in every community. Suck my dick. For the past 15 months, you've been able to fucking hide in these ranks. You catboy fuck. You are just a trans person.
You know what's so interesting is that this is the same response but more tame that Destiny had to trans people online. Hasan just knows what he should and shouldn't say, right? So Destiny's whole thing is like he doesn't like the online trans community because they're very toxic, and I haven't experienced that, so I'm not going to say that that's a truth thing. Regardless, though, Hasan's making the same argument, except this person's being very nice to him, whereas it seemed like some trans people are trying to deplatform Destiny. Either way. It's just the same response, but more intelligent, and not the type of intelligence where Hasan's more intelligent. than Destiny because he's not. But the type of intelligence where he knows what he needs to say and not to say to appear bigoted. You know what I'm saying? Like he knows he can't be like all like this sect of trans people is like this because a lot of people, almost like a lot of people in the trans community called him out. So he's shitting on this person, which represents a lot of the online trans community. The difference is that he's getting shit on for not being able to hold his claim well, being their socialist daddy.
Sorry, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
It's funny how it's always the people who are like really left-leaning or woke who be like, you're trans, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Let me, a cis person, tell you, you don't know your...
Damn. It's like, he's a white...
You're just a trans...
He's just a savior. Yeah, he's a trans savior.
Trans person.
He's a white woman version.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's doing what white men do. No, let me talk. Racist. You see what's going on here? That's suffering.
Yeah.
I
That's
feel like white men do that too.
the face of someone. That's what he does.
He does remind me of the white women who try to educate me on race. I'm like, Karen, no thank you.
I'm good.
I didn't ask.
I'm good.
I didn't broach this topic.
Am I with Cameron?
No, but you don't understand just how much I want your black penis. Ma'am, shut up.
Oh, hold on. Bro, my webcam is like dude, this is so bad. Times with like how it's like deactivating and shit. It's so fucking frustrating to deal with this. I'm gonna have to like stop the video and then like redo the video. Okay, we're back. Oh, sorry guys. Oh, Jesus.
Nobody asked you, and we ain't giving it to you.
America deserved 9/11, dude. Fuck it. I'm saying it.
True.
What the fuck is wrong with this dude? Didn't he go to war and like literally lose his eye because some mujahideen, a brave fucking soldier, fucked his eye hole with their dick? Isn't that how he lost his fucking dumbass eye? Because he got his fucking eye hole fucked?
Dude, it's crazy. You know what's interesting is that Hasan was his excuse for that was like, oh, I don't know, maybe it was a language barrier thing. It's just so dumb, bro. Because like, yeah, you could time the conversation to like the way that our politicians engaged in the Middle East brought 9/11 onto us, but that doesn't mean the people that were impacted are the problem. Right. And so like Hasan tried to pretend like he's like, oh, I was having the nuance. No, he wasn't. He was being, this is what Hasan likes to do. He likes to take very real social narratives and use those to propagate hatred against other people. He doesn't give a shit about like anybody. He doesn't care about the Middle East. He just wants to hate America. He doesn't care about trans people. He just wants to shame people for being transphobic. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't give a shit about you. And when you call him on this, he'll be like, I'm not an activist. So it's like, okay, so what are you doing? You fucking idiot.
That was positivity right there.
Hey, listen. As crazy as that comment is, a brave mujahideen.
Brave? That's good.
Listen,
it's kind of funny.
He might be just like, well, that's funny. That's funny.
But still,
I'm going to say this.
Not very positive, though. I wouldn't say it's positive.
Hey, man, shout out to Hasan. I can see how the Taliban inspired him, right? The same way Al Qaeda fucking torpedoed those Twin Towers. This man's been torpedoing the left with his dog shit takes. Hasan
True.
is.
Well, man, I don't know that he's been torpedoing the left with dog shit. I think that the left has a lot of dog shit takes. I think Hasan is the embodiment of Hasan. The way that he talks about a lot of stuff is dog shit. Right? I won't say that the left has a lot of dog shit takes because I tend to lean left. I just think that Hasan is a good representation of performative leftist activists who don't actually care about politics but like to virtue signal and hate people. That's what Hasan is.
The brave mujahideen soldier who fucked Dan Crenshaw's eye. But not only his, he fucked the eyes of everybody who has to watch his videos. Hasan is a professional eye fucker is what I'm trying to say.
I think a lot of people like him though. He's very sexy, so they're like, "Ooh, yeah, you could fuck my eyes," you know.
Brave mujahideen soldier, that's a bar. Mujahideen soldier just sounds fire to begin with.
Right there.
You could be an American soldier.
It's not like a legacy. Legacy. You got like.
It sounds like you were literally brought down from heaven to go fight for Allah. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the Mujahideens. Hasan hates America, thinks they deserve 9/11, and doesn't feel like cis women's spaces should be protected. Hasan is pretty much the Taliban with nail polish. Yeah. He actually almost joined the Taliban, but only refused when he found out they were transphobic.
You can't write that down.
Hasan once said, "I'm constantly surrounding myself with intelligent people."
They really fucking they really got these jokes ready.
Well, I never want to be the smartest person in the room. Don't worry, that room doesn't exist. That's saying a lot considering you've been in a room with Grimes, okay?
Transphobia. A little bit, like a little transphobic. Don't get so mad about it. Everyone is transphobic. Okay? Everyone's transphobic. A lot of people have transphobic attitudes. Trans people are transphobic before they recognize that they're trans. They have internalized transphobia.
Hey man, in case you wonder, the reason why you shouldn't be bothered about being called trans, everybody's transphobic. Everybody has it in them. Trans people are transphobic.
It's one of the big problems when people talk about any type of like form of bigotry, right? Like the reality is that everybody, it has a level of like racism in them, Like everybody, like people. This is a hot take. Even like people of color are racist, guys. Just so you know. Everybody has like racism in them to an extent, but like not everybody's racist, I'd say. Like everybody has like ideas, they have thoughts, they have intrusive thoughts, they have like the way that they feel about the world. Having those thoughts, I don't necessarily think that makes you racist, because then everybody would just be racist and then the word would be nothing. It's more about the way that you express yourself to the world. So if you're like, yeah, I don't like black people, in your head and you see a black person, it's like, ew. But like you treat black people well, it's like, okay, you're trying. You know what I'm saying? If you just called everybody racist though, then it means nothing. And that's how like the transphobic thing works. You know, if everything is transphobic, then oh my god, I'm gonna fucking kill myself. Shut the fuck up. Sorry. Sorry, oh my god, all these buttons are going crazy. If everybody is a bigoted term, if everybody's transphobic, then transphobia doesn't mean anything anymore. You know, and there's a reason we have to preserve the meanings of these words.
Phobic, they're transphobic against themselves, against the world. We're all transphobic. It is what it is. The same.
And a lot of times people, you know, there's arguments to be had that like different people can have like internalized transphobia, but a lot of times someone would just call you transphobic because like not just to say like, oh, you're trans and you disagree with me. Well, you must have internalized transphobia. I know more than you, which is like really shitty.
Racist or all everything. It's a thing. So next time you get called transphobic, just mindful. The person calling you transphobic is also transphobic. The person just witnessing the whole conversation, they're transphobic too. Even though they haven't opened their mouth, you can just assume.
Anytime a trans woman wins any kind of prominence, it makes it into the news cycle. And you never hear about them getting their fucking asses beat over and over again. The fighter that Joe Rogan mentions regularly is a perfect example of this. They always go back to that same example where the trans woman fighter, is it Fallon Fox, had like 1 or 2 victories.
Just 5 wins, 1 loss, all wins by KO. Wow.
And has lost routinely, but you never hear about how much she has lost since then.
So here's the thing is that like when we talk about trans women in sports, it's a lot. A lot of people will say, well, there's not a whole lot of domineering trans women yet. And it's like, yeah. And I think there's an argument to be made that if we allowed trans women in sports, we're probably not going to reverse the decision. It would be quite an interesting, uphill battle. But the thing is that we have to understand that it's not just about being trans or trans woman in women's sports. It's about going through your developmental cycle as a male and how you maintain biological advantages, how you don't have to, get rid of your testicles, how you still are bigger, you're taller, you're stronger, you maintain muscle mass, bone density, you maintain lung capacity, so many different things that don't go away just because you're on hormones, especially not immediately. How easy it is to cheat the system by not taking like your hormone blockers that are oral pills that don't like have they last like in your body for like 24 hours. You should watch the More Plates, More Dates video about this. That doesn't mean that every trans woman is going to beat cis women, because I remember people like last year, they would be like, oh yeah, but did you know that trans women don't beat cis women? Because I read a study that I think they were talking about like sprinting or something. I don't remember the specifics. And they compared like middle of the pack trans female athletes or trans women athletes to the world record cis women. It's like, yeah, okay. Of course, cis women can beat some trans women, but in general, trans women are going to win. They have biological advantages, right? And it's going to make it easier for a trans woman to get to a higher position than a cis woman. You don't have to work as hard to get more out of it, right? This is just the reality. So yeah, you might find instances of trans women not doing particularly crazy, but like we have to understand that like common sense, trans women are going to have a biological advantage, and then all of the studies that are coming out now support that. Now that we're actually studying this, people are like, we never used to study. Well, why would we study something that was so very obviously true? But we studied it, and now everything we're seeing supports the commonsensical understanding that trans women are biologically, physically stronger than cis women, just generally speaking, as a general group.
Bro, you're lying again. You're lying again.
Hold up, he might not be lying.
What is it with you and lying? You're lying again.
Hold up, he might not be lying. He just might not know. And
no, he does not care. It's women's sports.
I don't know why you bring up Fallon Fox. She's 5-1. All the
everybody makes mistakes, but at what point with somebody that has $3 million, that makes $3 million, you think I would listen? You could buy a fact checker. You could pay for somebody to watch your streams and help fact check for you. Look at how handsome I look with this nice thing behind me. My neck just hurts.
Knockouts. In fact, she's cracked a few skulls through those victories. Most of the MMA community said she's untalented. She's just physically dominant, and that's why she was winning. So you use her as an example of like some fucking conspiracy, bro. You don't know.
Hasan Piker calling a trans woman her? That's transphobic, guys.
fucking talking about. And if you really don't care about this topic, then just stop talking about it. Because judging by the effort you put into your arguments, we can tell you don't care.
Well, Hasan said he doesn't care about this argument. That's the thing. He's like, well, you don't care either. But it's like, well, here's the thing. Cis women who compete competitively in sports care, people with daughters that want to go into sports care, daughters in sports care, right? The thing is that like if trans women are allowed in sports, cis women are going to stop caring about sports because they can never be at the top. Like the conversation is who are we leaving out of sports? Trans women or cis women? Are we going to leave out the half of a percent, whatever the percentage of trans women are, or 99% of women? You know, it's just going to make people more transphobic if you allow trans women into sports because we can all, obviously it's unfair.
So just shut the fuck up.
Why? Because they have advantages. Why is that unnatural advantage wrong? Why?
Because it's unnatural. If you take hormones, it's an unnatural advantage. If you don't take hormones, it's a natural advantage. We're okay with natural advantages, but not unnatural advantages. That's pretty basic. This isn't like a hot take.
There are a million unnatural and natural advantages that people have. Never advocate to fucking ban that. As a matter of fact, if you advocated to ban those things, sports would not be good. You're just saying it's unjust because you think it's unjust, and that's it. You're not making an argument, okay?
What?
You're saying it's clearly unjust without making an example as to why, without even saying why it's unjust. And if your argument...
I mean, everybody's saying that because the trans women have biological advantages. You could disagree with that point, Hasan. You're wrong, but people are making arguments. You're just pretending there's no good arguments out there. Yours is the bad argument.
It only revolves around like, oh, it's unjust because like the average cis man has like larger or better testosterone production than the average cis woman or whatever the fuck. Even then, you have to admit that sports is awesome because there are competitive advantages. Otherwise, everyone will be the same fucking height.
What? We know that. We're just saying that we should have a protected cis women class. We want the best. See, this is the really shitty thing, because now what do I say? Okay, I want the best natural woman. Do you know how transphobic it is that Hasan is putting us in a scenario where we have to use that as an argument? Like, we're trying to be very, trans affirming here. Trans people don't give a fuck about sports. Most of them, they care more about getting access to, gender affirming care, which is what we should work on. Not this. And Hasan puts us in a place where we have to we make these differentiating arguments of trans women are natural women, but in order to express themselves as women, you have to go through an unnatural process of using hormones. And I don't like saying it like that because it sounds transphobic. But Hasan is pushing us into a corner where we have to explain these things in detail, and now it comes off as shitty. And I don't want to come off as shitty, but it's just the reality, dude. They have a biological advantage. They have an unnatural advantage. What do you want to say? What else do you want to hear?
Okay.
And it's because they were born men and they've gone through that cycle. They don't have to work as hard. We're okay with natural advantages for men being taller or stronger or whatever, but it's the unnatural ones, the hormonal, the testosterone advantages that we're not okay with. The PED advantages.
You don't watch the fucking under 6 foot league for a reason, but you consider some of those natural advantages and some of those unnatural advantages as well, whether it be your diet or your material conditions, your upbringing, your development, your access to fucking sports programs, anything like that to be perfectly valid. Whereas a trans woman on HRT is not
life is just sucks. Sometimes it's complicated. I don't know what to tell you.
Not valid. Is not valid enough to be a part of the fucking athletic competition against cis women. And that's ridiculous.
Yeah, sure.
So I want you guys to understand the basis of the argument. The argument is this. People are advantaged in so many different ways. As a result, what's the issue with trans women who have this advantage of being born males?
Well, the reality is that sports is about who's the best, the strongest. Women's sports is about which woman is the strongest, right? Trans women are women, but they're biological men and they have a general advantage as a class. So to protect cis women sports, we would have to keep trans women out of it, or else cis women would just stop competing. Not a hot take,
Going into these sports. That's his take. His take is we should defile the category because people have advantages on every... Then what's the point of having female sports at all?
Fuck it.
People are advantaged in every type of way.
But that's exactly what he wants.
No, what's the point of having female sports at all in that case?
Well, I don't think Hasan wants anything. He doesn't care. He doesn't give a shit about women's sports. He doesn't care, truly doesn't care about young women who are going to face young women wanted to be able to play sports because they couldn't with men. So they said, can we have our own league? That's it. And now we're talking about eradicating that league. And now it's so funny because Hasan will pretend that he cares about women and that he'll pretend that he cares about women and he wants women to be equal, but then he'll remove advantages or avenues for cisgendered women to socialize themselves out of the norm, the status quo. it's like, oh, women want to play football. Well, who cares? Trans women are going to dominate now because we're allowing trans women in, which removes their ability to do something that would be considered more masculine, and it makes it so that they get pushed and cornered and funneled into a particular route that is what women are supposed to do. They tend to do. You know what I'm saying? Like you're removing avenues when it comes to sports, for women to be able to go away, deviate from the normal femininity that either people societally push women towards, or whether there's biological, there's a mixture of both. But you're removing that avenue for them to socialize themselves away from being the typical woman. That's all you're really doing, is you're removing that opportunity.
Because at the end of the day, it's like, well, some women are born rich and some males are born poor, so let them compete.
But he said it himself. He doesn't want categories.
He didn't say that. That's another person said.
That's another person that said that. My bad.
What are we talking about at the moment? Can somebody fill me in? Hey, man, some males are just untalented. I don't care if they're 25 or 35. Some of them are just untalented. So if they want to compete with the young children in the kids category, what's the issue? Some kids are born rich. Some grown men are born poor.
I will say one thing: if they allowed grown men to play with like 4-year-olds in like soccer, I would play. Not fucking destroy those kids. I'd kick them. Fuck it, right? Maybe I'll get an award. Get like an award that you got at Hobby Lobby.
Let them compete. You want to watch 10-year-olds versus 25-year-olds? By your logic, that's how it goes. There's a crazy fucking woman who went to Piers Morgan. And if you make Piers Morgan sound smart, you are fucking dumb. Okay? You are like belong in a room with Hasan Piker. Okay? This woman got up there and Piers asked her one of the dumbest gotchas. And he said, if...
You know what's interesting? I'm just like thinking about this for a second. Hasan is an advocate against or for equity. Right, for everybody having like a similar upbringing or an advantage. He's for like removing that negative aspect of capitalism. So why is he using that as like an argument when it comes to sports? Maybe I haven't thought this idea out, but he's very much against, and that's one of his arguments. Well, you come from a different socioeconomic background and you come from a different financial background. But aren't you trying to advocate against that in general? So is that really an argument you can use? I don't know. Maybe I haven't thought that out enough.
Floyd Mayweather, or Mike Tyson went on HRT for a year. Should they be able to compete in the female boxing category? She said, yes, if they've done the... And I'm just like, bitch, are you crazy? You're going to get people killed.
Are you dumb?
True.
You're going to get these people killed competing against them.
Yeah. Tyson? You want to get Tyson? Tyson at his age. Right now.
Yeah.
You get him to... No, B. No, you're crazy.
This is so brain dead.
You're crazy.
This is unbelievably brain dead.
You're crazy.
I want you guys to hear the argument. The argument is people are advantaged in so many different ways. Why even respect the category? What the fuck are we talking about? Do you think there's anybody in mixed martial arts or any sport who's fighting in the middleweight division who wants to hear, well, fuck it, fight a heavyweight, bro? I know you've got 60 pounds on you. He's probably going to murder you in 3 punches. But...
Yeah, I think individual sports tends to be separated by weight class, which even then technically isn't fully, fair, I guess. But like you can never find a fully fair thing. And then like team sports usually has different roles that can benefit you if you're a different height or weight or et cetera, et cetera.
People are advantaged in so many different ways. Some people are tall, some people are short, some people weigh more.
At the end of the day, it's just a social construct about how we organize sports. And like we're organizing based on like the simplest, most effective way. That's it. We're never going to be fully fair. That's not the point. It's just to be like as fair as possible.
To fight each other.
At a difference.
I want you guys to understand.
People still actually watch.
Understand how crazy that is. There's not a single athlete who would sit here and be like, that shit makes sense. But these people who hate sports, who do not compete, are so brazen about the fucking stupidity that comes out of their mouths. It is shocking to me. It is shocking to me. And what's more shocking, I think, you know what? I'm going to stop there because I'll save this for another time. Go ahead.
In martial arts, 60 pounds difference makes you not even able to block. Like you're going to be blocking and it's going to do nothing.
Nothing.
It's good. Like you do not understand how 60. I think that between me and my coach, there is 60 pounds. Okay. I train with a dude. Jamie Boom Boom was good. James Mancini. We probably have that 60 pounds difference. And the other day we were sparring. We were not in the actual fight. This guy's been fighting for ages. That's what he does in a professional MMA fight or whatever and whatnot. I caught him on the chest. On the chest. I had my big gloves on. I caught him on the chest. This motherfucker backed up. Backed up so much. If it was a fight, just blocking doesn't do anything. But if I'm with my weight, I block, it's good. It's good. You tuck it in. That's fine. 60 pounds is enormous. He's my coach and inspiring, so it's fine. He wouldn't. even with the amount of knowledge that he has, he would never step in a real ring with me, not because I'm better than him. Has nothing to do with me being better. And at the weight that I am, I'm supposed to be a heavyweight. I would never step in the cage with a heavyweight because he's going to be 260. You know what I mean? Crush me. Come on now, B. And my training weight is probably not 230. It's probably...
And that's like a good point brought on. He's like, he's not as informed as his coach. His coach has worked harder than him, but he still would be able to win. And that's what we're talking about when it comes to like trans women in sports. Not having to work as hard and still being able to win.
60 pounds is enormous. But if you don't do sports, you don't understand the differences.
So,
oh my God.
I'm going to wrap it up with this because I understand there's more that I can't even. This man's too cringe for me to watch. If your argument is that, listen, people are advantaged in so many ways, why don't we have a category for wingspan, for height, for all this stuff, okay? If you want to put the money together to create a separate league or set a category for wingspan and stuff like that, go right ahead. And if athletes want to join that, fantastic. But it's not because those extra categories don't exist that we should therefore go to women's categories and then defile that for whatever fucking reason we want. That doesn't make any sense. We're not going to go destroy children's sports because some adults want to compete there. That's not the way it fucking works.
I want to play Bantam.
No, that's not the way it works. So, you know what? Trans women are women. Fantastic. But they're still not female. And at the end of the day, sports is not about your gender expression. It's about your sex, your biology. Nobody cares about your gender expression. Gender and sex are different. Though we call it women's sports, it was really just about you calling it female sports. The reason why is about physiology. Nobody cares about how you express in the world. So to me, when people say, well, I think they should compete because trans women are women, it doesn't matter. It's not the point of why we created the category or why we sequester women to this segment of society when it comes to sports. It's because biologically speaking, there's a difference. That's all it comes down to.
So why isn't every trans woman that's ever competed destroying every cis woman that's ever competed? Why?
So this is where Hasan becomes a fucking moron. I need you to understand. What Hasan said is basically systemic racism can't exist because Oprah Winfrey. That's what Hasan just said. I need you to understand, right? When we talk about particular groups of people, we talk about them in a general sense, a general group of people, right? Right? There are outliers. Like, so we look at like the black community. Sorry for bringing it to black people, but let's look at the indigenous community. Let's do that because we never talk about indigenous people. Let's talk about the indigenous community. The indigenous community tends to be poor, right? And it's due to a history of systemic racism. But I don't know any indigenous people who have a lot of money. I'm sure there are, but again, this isn't a conversation we have. But let's say his name is Peter. I didn't want to say something weird and racist. There's a rich indigenous person named Peter, right? Does Peter's existence invalidate the struggles of indigenous people? No. Peter's an outlier. That's what we use. It's called an outlier, right? So when it comes to this general conversation, we don't use Peter to say, well, there's no systemic oppression against indigenous people because Peter exists. Just like we wouldn't say like, oh, there can't be a biological advantage between trans and cis women because a trans woman lost. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about this in a general sense. And what Hasan is, he's engaging in incredible cognitive dissonance. He doesn't know what he's saying. He's using conservative arguments that diminish the existence of every form of systemic oppression. Okay? So just keep that in mind.
Is it that we only hear about it when like throughout the history of like trans women competing against cis women, throughout that history, you can say,
and again, it's not socially acceptable. It's becoming more socially acceptable, which is why we're seeing more disparities actively.
Like, oh man, you know, I just don't want trans women to compete with cis women because they're like, you know, they're not female actually. Like, yeah, I got it.
You're so stupid.
What? Bro, you didn't even respond to what the fuck we said. It says not about gender expression, it was about biology, and your reply is, well, why are all these trans women just destroying every single time? You know why we should allow steroids in sports?
Why?
Because Neil Armstrong?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was on steroids, right?
Right.
He didn't win all the time.
No.
Let's allow for steroids.
Shit.
Yeah. You know what? Mike Tyson should compete with the lightweights. Why? Because he might lose a few fights. It's like this guy's argument is so asinine. He's like, why don't they win all the time? It's not because folks don't win all the time that they don't have a sizable advantage that we create, a sizable advantage that we don't try to separate from by categories. Yes, sometimes the middleweight can be that.
Sometimes you're having a bad day too, which is a real thing. Like when it comes to being like a competitive athlete, I remember when I never lifted competitively, but I lifted like much more seriously. And I remember like a good and a bad day was the difference between like hitting my max and not, right? That's it. So sometimes a competitor that's better than someone else could be having a legitimate bad day. A variation of circumstances. They could be a little bit sick. They might have eaten something that didn't necessarily agree with them. When you're competing at the tippy top tier, any little thing can destroy you, right? So like somebody that's more advantaged might have like a bad day, where somebody who's less advantaged might have a good day and they end up winning, and that's all it really takes. That happens. Hasan doesn't understand that because he doesn't understand anything. He doesn't really understand sports, but like that's a real thing.
Heavyweight doesn't change the fact that we should still separate them by weight classes.
Hey, would you call it? Would you call it like willfully ignorant?
You know what it is?
What is it?
I think some people live on Twitter.
Hasan just has a particular ideology and he wants to affirm it. It's for people to feel better. He's a fucking bullshit socialist.
Some people live on Twitter. They get their takes from Twitter. They have an audience that they have to appeal to. And so for them, what's most important is appealing to the people who are going to like repeat whatever they need to hear in their echo. You get what I'm saying?
Echo chamber.
Right? That's it. So as long as they get that feedback they wanted, they good. They don't have to think it through too much. Right? Before it was, trans women don't have any advantage. Then the science comes out. Then it's like, well, the advantage doesn't matter because trans women are women. And now it's like, well, people have all kinds of advantages. So why... It just changes.
Yeah, it just changes.
It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, it's shifting the goalpost. That's all it is.
Their response to the issue doesn't have to be ethical. It just has to be politically expedient. You
Yeah.
get what I'm saying? People wonder why Hasan doesn't care about female athletes with his takes on trans women. It's because Hasan is straight. He loves fucking cis women and their sports.
No, we're thinking that we do agree. We agree. We agree.
Oh man, it doesn't seem like you do though. Wait, agree with what?
But
Separate.
that's not what we're talking about.
If you go to the doctors, okay, yes, trans women are women, but guess what? You still have the physiology, right, and the biology of a male. As a result, when you go to the doctor, that's going to factor in. They shouldn't just be like, well, trans women are women, so I'm going to treat you. It's a different ballgame. So when it comes to risk for certain diseases,
Yeah, like when it comes to, there's three categories that I say. Trans women are women, but we have to have a nuanced conversation in three areas. One is sports, because of biological advantages. Two is relationships, because not everybody wants to sleep with a trans woman, and that's their right to do so. And three is doctors, which is between trans women and the doctor. But like, you know, you still have a prostate, and I've apparently, because I've looked into those, it's like, it's not really practical to just remove your prostate. Like, it's really no point in even bothering to do it. So... you know, you see that there are different things. You know, trans men, they may still have their you know, their fun parts, their baby makers. You know, and it doesn't make sense to just remove them all. You know what I mean? You're still gonna have, you know, predispositions towards particular things that as a trans woman that men may have a predisposition towards like prostate cancer, right? So of course you have to be a little bit more intelligent when it comes to these things.
there's different things. They have to acknowledge the fact that you're biologically a male.
Ma'am, you have prostate cancer. No, trans women are women.
What is going? This
That's
okay?
funny.
This is crazy. What the fuck's happening right now?
Yeah, you can't.
I mean, I guess the argument is true. Like,
Incredible.
I mean, the title is true. Hasan and I be called as transphobes. Here, why? And then the answer is, you know, because we're transphobes.
That's it. That was really his argument, his response. Wow, this really is the downfall of Hasan.
We're transphobic.
Oh my God.
At this point, you just gotta laugh. You
Oh my God.
just gotta laugh. It's like
T'es sérieux là?
it's like watching that like pink-haired feminist just scream in the face of a protest, like at a high
That was
speed. Like,
so this is what I want you guys to understand something, right? There are a lot of like, here's the thing, right? This is why leftists are starting to hate Hasan, because like leftist argument or debaters, even though they have the same dog shit arguments, they're better at expressing them. Hasan is making this look horrible. He's ashamed to like the like leftist ideology. He doesn't even know how to actually defend his point. Even though it's not a good point, he doesn't even know how to defend it. Whereas like someone else could probably defend it better. Even if it's still a bad general point. And it's like Hasan, and this is a hard fight for somebody who thinks that trans women should compete in sports, right? But like Hasan can't even do the easy fights. He couldn't even beat Christian Walker. He couldn't even like hold a conversation with Christian Walker, who's claimed to fame as his dad is a famous football player. You know, people didn't even know that. They thought he was just loud and gay, but his dad is a famous football player.
that girl who cried when she found out Trump won. Like,
You-
it's just absurd at this point. It's funny.
You could have just answered with a good point.
Let's hear why he said.
We're transphobic. That is true, and that is something that I recognize. However, this has absolutely zero to do with trans women competing with cis women. Making up a trans person in this situation to like beef up your argument
What?
is ridiculous.
What?
Okay, so because you,
What does that mean?
again, are never the smartest person in any room, maybe this shit flew over your fucking head. But I'll break it down for you why I said that.
ridiculous.
Okay? I'm slowly. We're going to do this step by step. Step by step. A lot of folks, when this topic comes up, say, well, trans women are women, right? We're just speaking to their gender expression, right? And we agree.
Yes.
Okay? So as far as pronoun goes, as far as like bathroom goes, as far as a lot of stuff goes in terms of like getting medical treatment, I'm with you. Get it. Fine, not a problem.
But
When it comes to sports, it's a matter of your biology. What you express in terms of a gender has no real bearing on whether or not you should compete in one category versus the next, because it's not about how you express in the world. It's not about what's socially constructed. It's about biology, okay?
Bro.
So I made an analogy in regards to going to the medical office, because while you may express in the world as a woman, in terms of the risks that you have as a disease, you still have the physiology of male. So the doctor is going to take into consideration what? The fact that you are male. So when it comes to certain sicknesses, I know that me as a male, in terms of risk for certain disease, my doctor talks to me about certain things that I don't hear when women go. So this is not to say that when they go into the doctor's office, they won't use the women's pronouns for them, or they won't treat them with respect or anything like that. But when it comes to discussion, I think we can have a mature discussion where we say, I recognize your gender expression, but when it comes to certain discussions and realms in this society, your biology is going to be the focal point of how we're going to address certain issues. That's it. That was the parallel I was making.
This isn't even like I love Preach. They're like smart guys, but like that wasn't even like the most intelligent argument. Like I'm not saying it was unintelligent, but I mean it wasn't like so like fucking like incredibly like complicated that Hasan couldn't get it. You know what I'm saying? Like Hasan should be able to understand these very basic arguments of like, yeah, trans women are women, but they're different. That's the whole fucking argument that they're making. The fact that they have to explain in depth this argument is incredible. Like this is like baby shit. Like they shouldn't have to explain like baby conversations to Hasan. It's so fucking basic.
The same way when you risk for certain diseases, we're going to talk about your biology. When it comes to sports, we're going to talk about your biology, not your gender expression. That for this guy is apparently a transphobic point. Now, you guys may agree, disagree. You guys let us know in the comments. For me, I thought it was a very simple point, but it flew over his head. For him, it was like, mask off. We got him, boys. We got him. I was just like,
it's like
that was their future moment.
But right there, you really just explained the point again. What makes you think that he got it? Because you just use the same words to explain the thing.
No, but I don't do it for him, because I think, again, he's never the smartest person in the room. It's for the audience.
Right.
Like some of them might be persuaded. I just wanted to explain to them so they can
Yeah.
And let's say hypothetically, okay? Okay? That what I'm saying, maybe in some alternate universe, is incorrect. Or maybe I'm just missing the point. For you to assume some form of maliciousness to me is hilarious, because I just may not have the knowledge, all right, to know where it is that you're coming from. But unfortunately, you do such a poor job of explaining your side of the argument, other than saying, you're transphobic, that you cannot bring people to your side.
Then that's the problem, right? If Hasan is so right, then he should very easily be able to convey this thing. But all he keeps saying is transphobic. It's a shame tactic. It's saying because here's the thing: nobody wants to be like. Well, maybe some people want to be transphobic, but nobody wants to be like transphobic. Nobody wants to be bigoted, right? So all Hasan's doing is saying like, you are transphobic because you don't want to be one. So I'm going to shame you out of your particular ideology. That's the depth of his argument. That's it.
Really, a lot of the tactics of left folks leading people is just shame. Mm-hmm. It's just shame.
Yeah.
Think like we think, and if you don't, well, we're going to call you a bigot, and we're going to make sure we say it loud. That's it. And that's why if you look through his stream, this man yells transphobic like 100 times, because for him, that's a go-to. It's basically like it's basically how a lot of comedians say the word fuck all the time, right? When you're unfunny and you're not really capable of doing really good on stage, you just swear all the time.
Do I swear all the time? Fuck.
Or every other word, because you think it just heightens everything.
Or you yell.
It's like hot sauce. Yeah. Hot sauce is.
Well, it sounds like you're going after deaf noodles at this point. I haven't preached, because that's all he says is fuck all the time. He thinks it's funny. It's not, but because he's not, which is fine, because he's he does like drama, which is fine. Like, you don't have to be funny. Everybody can be Papa God, funniest guy in the world. But I personally wouldn't even consider myself a comedian, because that'd be weird.
Great on a lot of food. Use it on everything or all the time, and then you realize it loses its meaning. You just destroyed the food itself. That's what a lot of lefties do with a lot of these arguments. So just want to point that out.
True.
The transphobic part turns into basically when you say, and that's why they, shouldn't compete with cis women. That's the part. Yeah. That's the part that doesn't make sense. Which, by the way, ironically, the likelihood that you will get prostate cancer if you're a trans woman that has undergone gender confirmation surgery is, pretty fucking slim.
See,
why is that true? I don't know if that's true or not. I feel like, who cares if it's true? I don't know why. Why is that true? I'm going to look into it after. It's just hard to do this here, but like, why would that be true? And it doesn't matter, because you could still get prostate cancer. And the point is that you still maintain like a lot of your biology. But like, why? Why would you have a lower chance of getting prostate cancer? Is it the estrogen production? Does that reduce the chance of getting prostate cancer? I just don't know.
If he knew anything about trans folks, he would know that the vast majority of them never get any gender affirming surgery, and only.
But like, they don't remove your prostate, and that's actually a good point too. They bring up, like, a lot of trans women. Oh wow, that's actually fucking based, bro. That's one of the biggest problems in the trans community, is not being able to have access to gender affirming surgery. So what Hasan did is he's like taking like the passable trans people, and that's all trans people to him, and he's ignoring people who are not passable, even though non-passable trans women are the group that needs like the most attention. It's why a lot of trans people don't particularly care for, well, outside of the conservative aspect, but people like Blair White, or I heard this a lot for Caitlyn Jenner, that Caitlyn Jenner was privileged because she had the money to transition, because she had the money to do it, and like that's not the typical trans experience. So what Hasan's doing is he's ignoring the typical trans experience, just because it strengthens his argument, which is like effectively transphobic.
11% of them get 3 or more gender affirming surgeries.
Expensive.
The vast majority of trans people never get that. So when it comes to disease and stuff like that, they're still going to deal with their assigned sex at birth in terms of diseases. So why would you be like, well, if they get surgery, there's like no chance? Like, it's a gotcha. You don't even know the people you're advocating for when you're making these stupid arguments.
They got them.
So what does it tell you?
Them.
It tells me that for a lot of lefties, they think they're on the right side, so they approach these discussions not having actually done any of the reading necessary to make any of these arguments, right? I'm not even that deep into this shit. We just spend most of our time just watching Jubilee videos or cut videos and reacting to different shit and dating talks, okay? This is not even my realm.
No.
But I am half smart enough to recognize when I'm hearing a stupid person.
Yeah.
Right? And so every time I hear Hasan speak, I'm like, oh, we got our imposter.
Here's the thing.
Among Us, we figured it out. Let's end this round.
But I don't think it's because he's stupid.
Imposters.
His takes are stupid, but he's not.
I don't know. This is a really philosophical idea that he's bringing up right now.
He's actually succeeding into making this a thing and banking off of the way that he does that. And that's his point, is to yell it so loud that he looks like he's righteous.
I'll leave it there. Is there anything else you want to add?
Yeah, no, listen, that's like I think that philosophers 100 years from now will be debating on whether Hasan is stupid or not. The thing is I do think Hasan is just fucking stupid. And here's why. And he's the kind of stupid where he thinks he's smart, which is more dangerous. It's okay to be stupid. Like, we don't know everything. I don't know everything. But you try not to speak with confidence when you don't know something, right? Because like they said, you come off as holier than thou. The thing is if Hasan was intelligent, then he wouldn't have gotten backlash for failing to be able to defend trans people from fucking Christian Walker, the TikTok gay yelling guy. And I'm not using gay as a pejorative. I'm just saying that's what he's known for. He's just a loud, conservative gay person that yells. That's it. There's nothing super depth. There's not like a whole bunch of depth there. Hasan's supposed to be known as like the #1 political socialist streamer. You'd think that maybe there's a higher expectation of intelligence when it comes to different arguments as in Hasan's position, right? So the fact that you couldn't have this conversation with somebody who doesn't really engage with trans, Christian Walker's entire argument against trans people is that it just doesn't make sense. That's it. There's not like a whole lot of depth there, and Hasan still got called out for not being able to argue against that. So it's like I don't think it's just a grift. I think that I obviously think that Hasan is going to just engage with the or promote the argument or the ideology that supports his narrative and that he'll make the most money off of course. But he also doesn't know how to be intelligent about it. Like he doesn't know it. There are some people who are probably grifting. They're full of shit when it comes to the trans argument, but at least they like look into it to try to be like, oh no, I'm right. Hasan doesn't. He doesn't care. So not only he panders to his audience, and he's fucking stupid.
Oh man,
I think we're good. Okay.
All right, cool. Really good video. It's always fun. It makes me wish I was home. What is this though? Is this relevant at all?
Okay.
Both sides seem to extremism, being politically homeless. What is this about? Does this have anything to do with Hasan? I don't think it does. I don't know what this is about. But anyway.
This might surprise you. I think that...
Okay, maybe taking accountability. Oh, maybe it does have something to do with Hasan. How Hasan... Okay, let's watch it. I'm going to increase the speed and I'm going to watch this. I'm just curious.
Hasan. And
it's called Both Sides Seem to Extremism. Yeah, we said that.
Us contribute to anti-trans sentiment.
Possibly.
Yes. But I think for like different reasons.
Definitely, yeah. That's not surprising.
Okay.
Sure.
So I've been taking time to reflect and think about this quite a lot, because believe it or not, we don't just put out shit, we try to use our brains every now and then. Some of us just think we just wake up, do YouTube, and go back to sleep. Today's topic,
I wish.
The whole trans topic is an interesting one. Because most people don't interact with trans folks in their lives. By most studies that I've seen, trans people account for maybe 1% or less than that of the population. So it's not like it's a huge number of people. And unlike a racial group or biological sex, transness is not easily seen on somebody. Somebody can have gender dysphoria, identify as trans, and you looking at them won't know. So you may actually be interacting with a trans person and not know it, okay?
True, yeah.
So the way that the vast majority of the public interacts with transness is through the media. Okay, the most polarizing, the most like extreme stuff, right? Because that's what the media does. The media is trying to get your emotions and your heartstrings going because the fact that that's what generates views to them. So everyone's takes are on polarizing issues. And in come everyone's favorite dinner topic, right? Trans women in sports. Okay, you might be wondering why trans women, because trans men in sports are invisible, right? They don't win anything. Kind of like the USA soccer team. Okay, fucking losers. Right? Maybe those motherfuckers transition, they win some, but they don't. They're invisible. So this topic comes
Jesus Christ.
up. It's polarizing. It's super polarizing. The people who are jumping on this
I don't think that trans men are allowed to take hormones at all for them to compete. So
topic are the most polarizing folks possible. They're going at it from every political angle, and so I see myself, and I'm commenting on this topic that's in the news because we cover trending topic, and this one especially. But I had to ask myself, why has this one in particular, for me, not for you nearly as much, but for me, stuck around? And you know what I realized?
What'd you realize? And wait. What stuck for you?
This topic of trans women.
Yeah, it really stuck.
More for me than for you.
Oh, definitely.
So I had to think about why we cover it and how that negatively impacts. Because if everyone is just seeing the most extreme stuff and they're hearing like, well, yes, trans women should be competing in sports, and trans women, if you disagree, you're fucking big. That's how people are internalizing trans. That's the only perception that they have most of the time. Okay, other than watching Euphoria or some shit. So.
And we had a lot of trans people comment on our shit and be like, no, I agree with what they say. So there's a lot of trans people that agree with what we say, but that's not what we're gonna highlight. We're gonna highlight extremists.
Not the level for good content. Yeah. There's some level-headed people who said a lot of interesting stuff, and we could have covered that. But we went for the fucking Adele is fatphobic and transphobic because that shit makes your eye pop out.
But it's not so much for content because it makes a lot about. It's because there's a lot of proportion of people that actually think a certain way, and we might have to address that because we disagree on that. But yeah, content.
To me, I'll tell you why this and why that specifically sticks out to me. And this is the
Go ahead.
We live in this city, which is hyper-liberal.
Yes.
We live in a country that is generally leaning very left.
Yeah,
we also work in a field in the arts that also leans left.
Super left.
Okay?
Super left.
So my entire life, I've always been surrounded by the left. I've always identified in terms of like what I vote for, be it socialized healthcare, social programs for those who are in need, in terms of like taxation for people who make a certain income and keeping that high to be able to fund a lot of stuff. I'm for a lot of these policies, right? And even socially, I'm on board with most of it. But I've also witnessed this over the last maybe decade or so.
So what is their argument here? Is that they okay? I don't really know.
Now here comes the other side, okay? Because we taking our
Yeah, I don't think I need to necessarily watch this. Yeah, man. At the end of the day, that was a good video. I mean, Hassan's just full of shit. There's not a whole lot to say because we've been talking about this constantly. So, like, Hassan needs to just shut the fuck up and just play fucking Among Us and Elden Ring because he's really completely unintelligent. All he does is sit down and he promotes the same, like, same talking points from most leftists without any understanding of it because he doesn't care. It's a virtue signal to him. He doesn't care about you. Just so you know, Hassan doesn't care about you. Okay, cope. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and another special shout out to all my Patreon and Twitch subs. If you'd like to support this channel further than you already have by just watching the video alone, go down to the links below where you can sub on my Patreon, which will allow you to get your name on this beautiful black wall. Or you can go to the Twitch page and you can actually use a free Amazon Prime sub, if you have Amazon Prime, to subscribe. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.